a KQED television production.
I'm telling you right now, I am hungry.
Check Please Bay Area is made possible by the members of KQED and by
Redwood Credit Union, community banking for the North Bay and San Francisco. Business and personal, online and mobile, plus nationwide ATMs. Banking for people who call this place home.
Sutter Health CPMC, the new Mission Bernal Hospital, opens August 2018 with all private rooms and comprehensive maternity services. CPMC2020.org.
Total Wine & More, offering more than 8,000 wines, 2,500 beers, and 3,000 spirits. Total Wine & More, now with 7 Bay Area locations. TotalWine.com. IRG has thousands of surfaces in stock now. Surfaces, selection, service. IRG at MarbleCompany.com. Oakland International Airport, now with flights all over the world. iFlyOAK.com.
Hi, I'm Leslie Sabraco. Welcome to Check Please Bay Area, the show where regular Bay Area residents review and talk about their favorite restaurants. Now we have 3 guests, and each one recommends one of their favorite spots, and the other 2 go check them out to see what they think. Marketing executive Heidi Darling grew up on tea farms in Guatemala and Kauai, collecting fresh eggs every morning and learning farm-to-table cooking long before it was trendy. She craves unpretentious dining with fresh local flavors cooked from the heart. Tech product manager Tam Sue calls himself a serial startup guy. He's always on the hunt for the next bright idea. So when it comes to food, he's up for anything and appreciates a chef who isn't afraid to stir things up. And all the world's a stage for actress Ryan Austin, who performs with the California Shakespeare Company and has toured the globe as a hip-hop MC. Her flair for the dramatic extends to dining out too, as she seeks restaurants with carefully crafted menus and ambiance. Mezcal, mole, and muy especial vibes are what she keeps coming back to find at Agave Uptown in Oakland.
The mural represents the culture of Oaxaca, so whenever you see a jackrabbit, it's supposed to be good luck. The picture of my dad is there and my uncle. When you come to Agave, it's a family business, it's a family affair. My name is Octavio Diaz. I'm the owner and operator of Agave Uptown in Oakland. Oaxaca is really the mecca for ingredients and spices. A lot of times people ask us, is this really Mexican food? People really find the flavors unique that they've never had before. I basically shadow my grandmother since I was little. You know, cocineras de pueblo, the ladies that cook in the kitchen. I always interest that. And the number one thing that I really love was when they make mole. And I would be there stirring the mole. Our mole is special because it takes a while, 5-6 days to make it. My mother makes our own chocolate. We use 6 to 7 different varieties of peppers. But these have to be from a certain part of Oaxaca. That's what makes our mole unique. Mezcal is the drink of the gods, as we call it in Oaxaca. Mezcal has a lot of different steps. There's a lot of labor of love. Mole, same thing, so it kind of works together. And when you put those 2 together in Oakland, people love it. Para todo mal mezcal y para todo bien también. What that means is for every bad situation, there's a mezcal shot. And for every celebration or any good thing, you can also have a shot.
All right, Ryan, you call yourself an ambassador for Oakland.
Well, I
right?
do, yes.
Why is that?
That's because I'm born and raised in Oakland, and I get around every corner of Oakland and eat and enjoy my life there. I discovered Agave Uptown actually by going to the Cape War Center for Social Impact, and I had a meeting at the Cape War Center and went downstairs just to grab something to eat because I was hungry and I was overwhelmed.
You were smitten.
I was smitten. Yeah. I start with a basket of homemade chips and the salsa, which I have to exercise care and discipline with because I can eat a whole basket by
There
myself.
are no calories when you share them.
Oh.
Didn't you know that?
Well, that's the problem. I have a hard time sharing. And I normally order a cocktail. They have a tequila sour.
Well, they're known for their mezcal.
Their
certainly.
mezcal is delicious. So it's a mezcal tequila, and it's served like a whiskey sour without the whiskey.
Oh.
I enjoy that.
When I walked in the door, it was a little cold and aseptic. And there was a sense of very clean, slick lines. And then that was matched by the hostess, who was like, yeah, can I help you?
Oh, no.
And seated right away, like no wait, no problem there. But I think I was just looking for something a little bit more lively and a little bit more kind of, just give me a big hug. Big mezcal hug.
It's a chips, obviously.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I will say, so it was hilarious because then I sat down and I said, so tell me, what do you recommend for an appetizer? And they're like, oh, just get the chips and salsa. They're homemade. You'll love it. And I was like, okay. I'll get the chips and salsa.
Yeah.
And they were fabulous. They were, I think, my favorite thing about the meal. Yeah.
All right, Tim's over there. Jump into this conversation, Tim.
So we were there after the theater rush, and it was pretty quiet. So we ended up with ceviche, really fresh fish, very well balanced flavors. The last time I had ceviche that's good was probably on a beach in Miami. So it was these little empanadas with like really, really fresh Oaxacan cheese, and that was spot on. That was delicious.
I've had the empanadas. I love those. I love the cheese. That's really my thing.
So good.
The tasajo, which is a flank steak, flat, pounded all the way flat, marinated very well, served with roasted fajita-style vegetables. So a nice, healthy serving of Spanish-style rice and a healthy serving of beans.
The rice and beans were, on par with the chips and salsa. They're fabulous. They're refried, so they're pounded, they're a little creamy, and they're just very rich. You have a hard time believing that they're vegetarian, but I asked and they are. And then the Spanish rice is incredible too. There's little flecks of red pepper, and it's a little tangy and flavorful. So I ordered the empanadas, and I'm used to making them. I, go to Central America a fair amount, and it's very different. This is like a quesadilla, and I almost feel like, warn people. It's a quesadilla, and then there was no sign of espazote, there was no sign of mushrooms, which it said on the menu there were, but it was like a great Oaxacan cheese quesadilla.
Note to self.
I went from quesadilla to the enmoladas, which are like enchiladas but with mole. And mole is tricky. It can easily be too heavy, and in this case there was definitely like good cinnamon and good orange flavors.
I do enjoy the mole. I like the balance of flavors.
Yeah.
I like that I can taste the different flavors in the layers. So I can taste the citrus. The first thing that I taste in Agave's mole is the cinnamon. It's not overpowering, but it's there to complement the chicken. They have free-range chicken that they serve it with. I think it's wonderful.
So I ended up with the carnitas with mole on top. I really like the mole. But the carnitas, without the mole, like by itself, it was just pretty meh.
Well, let's talk about the other meh, which is mezcal.
Yeah, there we go.
on the list, because they have 30 different mezcals, and you get that really smoky, beautiful from kind of the underground roasting. So to me, mezcal has such a unique character, and that's one of their signatures, isn't it?
They do really well with their cocktails, I think. They're mixing that mezcal and that smoke and balancing it with the citrus or balancing with the brightness of a berry.
And we passed them around and sampled the different cocktails. And it's really interesting. You get the idea that they're kind of treating it as a scotch. And the cocktail styles are very sort of scotch cocktails, which I thought was sort of a really innovative way to go about it, and turned out really well.
And you go sit at the bar sometimes and just have churros and
horchata.
There you go.
Yeah, and we can sit right in the bar, which is right in the center. It's like the centerpiece of the restaurant. And you can see everybody coming in.
Tell me about those churros,
Oh,
because,
my goodness. They come out nice and warm with vanilla ice cream. My husband and I will share. It's a good date, to share a churro is almost like sharing spaghetti, and,
true. Yeah,
and ending up with the same noodle. We just enjoy it. We enjoy everything about Agave, honestly, and the fact that we can bring our son there.
Yeah, it's family-friendly place.
Family-friendly.
All right, Ryan, this is your spot. Wrap it up for us.
I would say that if you want to go to have mole, mezcal, some churros, and good community, Agave is your place.
All right, and Tam?
I think it's a great spot for a pre-theater drink, maybe a snack, get some chips, but maybe skip the main course.
All right, and Heidi?
I think it's a great place to go with a group, maybe your office colleagues, have some appetizers, have some drinks, have some fun.
All right, if you would like to try Agave Uptown, it's on Franklin at 22nd in Oakland. The telephone number is 510-288-3668. It's open for lunch on weekdays, every night for dinner. Reservations are recommended, and the average dinner tab per person without drinks is around $25. An avid home chef, Heidi appreciates rustic food made with care. When it's time to take the family out, she heads to a homey Italian eatery that stayed true to its roots. Located in the little town of Fairfax in Marin, it's called Sorella Caffe.
We are sisters and we are best friends, and we love working together.
Whenever one got a job in one place, the other one would follow. We never fight. We always spend a lot of time together. Best of friends. My name is Sayara Malloy.
My name is Sonia Kang, and we are Sorella Caffe.
We are a family-oriented restaurant. My parents live here in town and they eat with us quite often, and so do my boys. They also help out here a lot. My sister is a lot like my boy's second mother.
It's nice, maybe an oddity.
Sonia and I have been looking for a location for about a year, and we stumbled into this place, which was right in our own backyard.
We are a neighborhood gathering place. A lot of people come and they know each other's names. They say hello through the window.
We watch families come together. Babies are born, then all of a sudden they become teenagers and going off to college. But the fun thing about it is that they're always so excited about coming over on their holidays. I will always say hello to everybody and try very hard to remember everybody's names. But mostly, you know, we always remember what they eat. Sonia goes, oh, that's spaghetti puttanesca. That is, you know, eggplant parmesan.
All right, Heidi, Fairfax, a lot of people don't know where Fairfax is or how to get there. It's kind of a hidden gem, isn't it?
It is a hidden gem. It's a lovely little enclave. And I spend a good part of my working life evaluating restaurants, hotels, kind of professionally critiquing. And it just feels like a lot of work sometimes. And on a Friday when I pick up the kids, I just want to go somewhere and not think and have someone kind of wrap their figurative arms around me, and that's what this place feels like. In the summers when there's farmers market, there's like farmers market here, you walk across the street and there's Sorella's and you're sitting by the window and you are chatting out the window to your friends and you're making plans about whose fire pit are you going to after, and you know, I mean, it's very in that way. So my standard is the butternut squash ravioli, which is, again, I just feel like I'm being a little bit of a rebel, like, it's not seasonal, but I'm still gonna get it.
Living on the edge.
I was going to say, it sounds like first world problems.
I mean, so, you know, it's like the perfectly browned butter where there's like the little salty brown chunks at the bottom and then the butter floats to the top, but it's not too heavy, and the pasta's perfect, like cut it with your fork, no problem, but it's a little resistant on your tongue, and the perfect amount of nutmeg, and it just works.
Tam, what did you get?
First off, the decor, ambiance, lighting, just the general like feel of the place was so adorable. So cute. And yeah, it's just a lovely, lovely spot. And we ended up getting caprese salad and calamari to start. The caprese was really, really fresh ingredients, fresh mozzarella, tomato, basil, olive oil. Undersalted. I will have a little bit of a salt tongue, so maybe that's it. But similarly, the calamari, really fresh ingredients, but felt undersalted as well.
I was the first person there. So I believe I received the first baked bread and the chunk of Parmesan, and it was nice and warm. Everybody was very welcoming. It was a wonderful atmosphere. I got there just as the sun was setting. I could smell the jasmine in the air. I could hear the kids playing coming out of school. There were folks walking by the window talking to the chef and the servers, so I felt like I was at home.
As soon as you sit down, they come over with this huge wheel of cheese and like take an ice pick and hunk a a piece on your plate. It just feels like this comforting thing that's been time tested. You get what you think you're gonna get. Sometimes I'll get the cioppino, and what's so nice about it is that it's not a deep, rich broth. It's lemony and light tomato, light olive oil, light lemon. So it's like this roasted garlic bread and roasted garlic chips on top, and you just like jab the bread in there, and it's just comforting.
So I ended up getting the cioppino as well. And it was very reminiscent of Tattaged Grill. I feel like it's such a Bay Area classic dish, and it was really genuinely good. Again, really fresh ingredients. I feel like they really, really know how to source their seafood, and that broth was delightful.
It's so tender, right?
Yeah,
like
everything
perfectly
was just
cooked.
so
Yeah.
perfectly cooked.
I had the special, which was a pasta pomodoro with rock shrimp and mild Italian sausage. Delicious. I could taste the fresh basil. They have chunky chunks of tomato and came out piping hot. The rock shrimp was perfectly prepared. It was a wonderful dish. Very warm, very comforting, as you say.
What about Caesar salad?
Oh, yes. This is like classic. It's heavily dressed, not overly heavily, but creamy. It's luscious. It's rich. There's nothing like light about it. Crunchy, cold lettuce and, you know, great croutons. And it's
Just
cut up
sparing
for
no
you.
calories.
Yeah, sparing no calories. It's cut up for you. You don't have to do any work.
Now, this is a kid-friendly place,
Oh,
isn't it?
absolutely. They also bring your kids' coloring instruments and you know, people just genuinely have a good time there. Like servers are winking at each other. They're like throwing little jokes at the kids. And at the end of the meal, they bring you a bowl of graham cracker animal cookies and gummy bears.
And what do they bring the kids?
I would say at least half the tables there have kids at them.
And what about service?
It was lovely. We had a couple of different waitresses kind of switch in and out. Both were super friendly, super nice, very attentive.
Yeah, I felt very welcomed and well attended to.
Good. What about desserts?
And so I went with a friend who's part Italian, and she's like, tiramisu, we have to get that. Showed up, she tried a bite of it, and quote, grandma would have approved.
Okay.
And her note particular was that you can taste the booze, but not so much so that it overwhelms. And the best part of the meal, I thought, were like, hey, do you have any dessert wines to pair with the tiramisu? And they're like, wait a minute. And they come back with a bottle of port, and they're like, on the house, enjoy.
Oh, all right, your spot, wrap it up for us.
I think if you need to go home and just kind of drop your bags and have your mom take care of you, this is that.
And Tam?
It's a little bit out of the way, but absolutely adorable, cute, romantic, highly recommended.
And Ryan?
Warm, good food, great atmosphere. Go.
All right, if you would like to try Sorella Caffe, it's on Bolinas Road at Sherman in Fairfax. The telephone number is 415-258-4520. It's open for dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Reservations are recommended, and the average dinner tab per person without drinks is around $25. For anyone who's had a chance to bask in the sun of southern Italy's dramatic Amalfi Coast, there's no drink that captures that feeling better than limoncello. Hailing from the areas around Naples, Sorrento, and the islands of Sicily and Capri, limoncello is a sweet, lemon-based liqueur usually made with native Sorrento lemons. In Italy, it's served chilled after a meal as a digestif, but it's perfect in cocktails or poured over ice with a splash of tonic. There are wonderful Italian and domestic versions, but you can make your own. I use Meyer lemons and steep the strips of the oily zest with vodka. That releases all the aromatic oils. Now, you let that sit for several months before straining, and you add water and sugar. Very easy. Then you too can enjoy a virtual trip to Italia. Tam is no stranger to the power lunch, and while his favorite spot is famous for that, he goes there for pure pleasure. A San Francisco icon for more than 25 years, located just steps from the Bay, it's One Market Restaurant.
All the different elements of the restaurant business, from service to food to beverage to ambiance, it all comes down to one word, and that's satisfaction. My name is Lorenzo Bouchard. People call me Larry, and I am the general manager and a partner here at One Market Restaurant. You know, we're big in a city of restaurants that tend to be medium to small, so when we are at full tilt, it just has that feel of just conviviality and gathering. In those 25 years here, we've gone from all suits and ties during the day to lots of jeans and t-shirts now as our building and our neighborhood has evolved from traditional business to a lot of tech, and it's been fun to watch.
25 years ago, it was rare that you had an open kitchen. People loved to sit back here on the counter and see all the action.
Seasoning snapper, 1 of 501.
My name's Mark Dommen. I'm the chef partner here at One Market Restaurant in San Francisco. It's a big kitchen. There's a lot of toys. You know, we have a smoker, we have a wood burning section, we have a rotisserie, so there's food that's roasted and grilled, and I just started dry aging steaks. And then there's the more refined dishes that are composed as well. Antonia, our wine director, she tends to go outside the box and put different things together that a lot of people are a little bit hesitant at first, but once they try it, they're amazed. Then they're like, whatever she says, they're happy.
She's amazing.
I have heard, especially from a younger person, something along the lines of, oh, when my mom and dad are in town, this is where I take them. And but then they come and then they're reminded that this is a great spot to go to.
All right, Tim. One Market has been there for 25 years. I mean, that is an accomplishment in the restaurant business in San Francisco.
Mark, the chef, has been there for, I believe, 14 or 15 years at this point. And
Michelin starred.
And his food is constantly evolving without being too cutting edge and too over the top. It's just so comforting.
What was your experience like, Heidi?
I was so pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I walked in and there's some mid-century modern touches and very clean aesthetic, but still that just very kind of quiet. There's still some carpet, there's still some cloth napkins, there's still some comfort pieces, right? And so I was kind of instantly put at ease. And then first I looked at the wine list, which...
Tanya Pitts, who's the wine director there, has put together a wonderful California-focused list.
This is why I love going there, because Tanya is almost always there. Invariably, I can just lean on her and say, you figure it out.
Yeah, she's great at that.
She brings out all sorts of weird, rare things I can't even imagine, and they're just wonderfully paired.
Yeah, so I saw that and I was like, okay, I'm getting excited.
Yeah.
And then, I looked at the menu and I kind of had the same reaction.
Right.
The Campacci crudo was to die for, so perfectly done. Just perfectly acid cured, where it's a little cooked on the outside, but perfectly raw on the inside, and the fish was phenomenal, and the ponzu sauce was so well done in that it was perfectly balanced and it was so delicate and so flavorful at the same time.
I went in expecting something a little bit uptight, to be quite honest. I thought, well, this is one of these restaurants where we have
power.
It's like Salesforce, as we're in the shadow of Salesforce, it's going to be serious. But I was pleasantly surprised that it was very warm, welcoming, inviting. My husband and I went together. We made it a date night. It was really nice. The ambiance was beautiful. We walked right in. We could hear the piano playing. We ordered the hand-pulled crab salad with grapefruit and some orange slices, and then this yuzu jelly. Outstanding, just outstanding.
And what do you usually kick off with?
Definitely a glass of the Iron Horse One Market Cuvée. Without fail, I sit down and basically they know to bring that to me at this point. And the kitchen always sends, at least to me, a little sort of amuse-bouche flight.
We had that.
And one of them is this twice-baked potato with caviar on top. Literally one of my favorite one-bite things in the world. And then I had the Dungeness crab squash soup. Just this giant lump of crab.
Order that.
It was so good. And I pour the soup table side. Comes with black garlic sauce on the bottom. So crabby, but fall-ish and winterish and comforting.
What did you have for your main course?
I ordered the swordfish with the lemon gremolata. I knew swordfish was a dense fish, a dense white fish. I wasn't in love with my dish. It was a bit smokier than I wanted it. My husband's dish, the bacon-wrapped tenderloin, was delicious, served on a bed of apple chunks and a dandelion green. That was just wonderful. It was nice and light, not over-prepared. We both ate his meal.
Devoured that one. Honey, I love you, but, oh, look over there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. What about the trout?
The Tasmanian ocean trout is sous vide, perfectly cooked, so tender, and that egg just makes it. When you break it open, the sauce of the yolk is so rich and delicious. Perfectly paired with that trout.
And what about the beef cheeks?
The beef cheeks are so rich, tender, and that sauce is to die for.
I had the grilled octopus, which was phenomenal. So tender and such a good ratio of lean to rich meat on the octopus. And I also got the chickpea fries, which were satisfying.
Well, tell me about them.
Amazing. So chickpea fries is like the hot thing, right? They're coated in cornmeal and perfectly crisp on the outside and then like nutty on the inside.
She said Chef Dommen is inventive yet still classic. And what about service for you guys?
My waiter was extremely attentive. Kept his eye on us, but didn't stray too far away. Also didn't hover, and I appreciated that.
You know, I think one of the things that I value so much is they are so knowledgeable and so passionate, and strip the hip factor out. They know what they're doing, and they're going to make sure you have a great experience.
All right, this is your spot. Wrap it up for us, Tam.
This is my just happy place. It's my home base. That counter where I can see the kitchen in action is just sort of, free dinner theater.
And Ryan?
You want to lock a client or a date, this is the place to go.
All right, and Heidi?
I think it's old school, but it's current and very refreshing in that way.
All right, if you would like to try One Market Restaurant, it's on Market Street at Stewart in San Francisco. The telephone number is 415-777-5577. It's open for lunch on weekdays, dinner Monday through Saturday. Reservations are recommended, and the average dinner tab per person without drinks is around $60. I have to thank my great guests on this week's show. Ryan Austin says sí to salsa and spicy sips at Agave Uptown in Oakland. And Heidi Darling loves the laid-back, friendly vibe and complimentary gummy bears at Fairfax's Sorella Caffe. Finally, Tam Sue relaxes at the chef's counter at the classic One Market Restaurant in San Francisco. So join us next time when 3 new guests will recommend their favorite spots right here on Check Please Bay Area. I'm Leslie Sabraco, and I'll see you then. Cheers, clink, drink, and talk. So now it's your turn. We want to hear from you if you visited any of our Check Please restaurants. You can post a selfie on Instagram, join the conversation on Facebook, and tweet us anytime. And don't forget to visit our website. All the shows are there, along with my wine videos and notes about the wines we drink on set. You'll also find our fun new web series, Taste This, where we celebrate food and drinks around the Bay. Cheers.
Check Please Bay Area is made possible by the members of KQED and by Oakland International Airport, now with flights all over the world. iFlyOAK.com. IRG has thousands of surfaces in stock now. Surfaces, selection, service. IRG at MarbleCompany.com. Total Wine & More offering more than 8,000 wines, 2,500 beers, and 3,000 spirits. Total Wine & More now with 7 Bay Area locations. TotalWine.com.
Sutter Health CPMC, the new Mission Bernal Hospital, opens August 2018 with all private rooms and comprehensive maternity services. CPMC2020.org.
Redwood Credit Union, community banking for the North Bay and San Francisco. Business and personal, online and mobile, plus nationwide ATMs. Banking for people who call this place home.